Okay, now guys, there is something a little bit weird here. I need you to draw a line down the middle of the page because the cosine law has two different versions depending on what you're trying to do. Okay? Everybody cool? This version right here, is that a big or a little c? It's a little c. So is it a side or is it an angle? It's a side. This version right here will find unknown sides of a triangle. For this version right here, I'm going to highlight it in yellow and I'm going to put it over here. Everybody cool? But there's something you got to watch out for. What does it find? Does it find c or does it find c squared? C squared. So what do you have to remember to do at the end of all your work? Find the square root, just like Pythagoras, right? So you got to remember when using this side, you will get the side squared. So you must square root your answer. I'm going to wait for that to show up. Everybody cool? If you're good with your calculator and you practice a little bit, you can do it all in one step. But if you don't, then you just do all the work, find the answer, and square root. Everybody cool? All right, now, you guys are smart kids. What if I need an angle? Where do you see in that law a capital letter? Cos C, right? If I need an angle, which I'm going to highlight in green, if I need an angle, I got to find it out from cos C, yes? So I need this equation not to equal c squared. What do I need it to equal? Cos C. And how do I make that happen? Starts with an A, ends with an A, and has algebra in the middle of it. Algebra. I take this and I move it. So c squared is already there, yes? What has to happen with the A? Has to move over. What happens to the sign? See you, Luke. It becomes negative a squared. What has to happen with the B? Right? Turns negative. Minus b squared. Now here's where everybody makes a mistake. What math is happening here, here, and here? Multiply. So what do I got to do? I got to divide. I don't just bring it over. But here's the mistake everyone makes. Okay, yeah, I got to divide 2ab, no problem. What's this right there? Subtraction, right? Or it's also negative. You got to remember here that you have to divide by the negative. Hey, man.
Hey, man. Just need your freezer for a second.
You go, guy.
Thank you.
Everybody cool? You got to bring that negative over. Jazzkira. I'm sorry? If you're... Now, this is what I'm talking about. If you just... Oh, I'm just moving it over the equal sign. Because you've taken that shortcut, you're making that link in your brain. Okay? And here is what I mean by that. Watch. If I give you this question, x plus 7 equals 16. Now, if you're doing shortcut, you say, oh, move that over, becomes negative 7, x equals 9, right? Agreed? Okay. But what did you really do there? you really, think back to grade 7, went minus 7, correct? Then you drew your line, x equals 9. Agreed? That's what your grade 7, 6, whatever teacher taught you. Yeah? And we just get to a point where we do it automatically, correct? Now, watch. What if the equation changes to this? Now what do? I still move the 7. So in grade 11, we're just going to move that 7, aren't we? Negative 2x equals 9. Yeah? Now what do? Divide by negative 2. I have to keep the negative 2 in the division because it's not moving anywhere. I'm dividing it out. And that's the problem with doing the stuff in your head and not remembering the actual thing you're doing, which is actually minus 7 minus 7. But because we're going so much further beyond this in grade 11, we just say, move it over, move it over. But if you don't really know what you're doing, then that exact thing comes up. You say, well, I'm moving it over, so I must have to change the sign. But you don't for multiplying and dividing, right? Because if I change that sign, this answer is going to be x equals 4.5, isn't it? And negative 2 times 4.5 is negative 9 plus 7, which is not 16. Cool? Okay. Everybody understand? So everybody sees why that works? Now, please notice the C has to stay at the front, or it's not going to work. And here's a whole bunch of rules about it. Sine law we used when we knew one angle and its opposite side. You needed at least one pair of at least one pair of side and angle. And sine law worked no matter what. It found sides and angles, both, right? But cosine law you got to be a little more careful of. The yellow version of the cosine law works when I have two sides and the contained angle. So when it looks like this. X, Y, and A is the angle. If you know that, that's when you use the yellow cosine law. All right? What color did I highlight the other one? Green. When you have all three sides, use the green version of the cosine law. That's when you have this, X, Y, Z, and you know all three sides. Is everybody cool? Why'd you use X, Y, Z instead of ABC, Mr. Myers? Because letters don't matter. Is everybody good? Now, right now, you're probably like, ooh, yuck, I don't like this. Blah. But now it's time to actually use it and see how actually easy it is to use. So we've got a triangle here. It's triangle ABC. I'm using the letters you're used to. And I know AC, side or angle? Side. I know BC, side or angle? Side. And I know angle ACB. How do we read that? C is the middle of it. ACB. So that's what the triangle has to look like. Is everybody cool? So ACB is 20. AC is 20. BC is 11. I've highlighted it all in yellow on purpose. What version of the cosine law are we going to use? The one that's at the top. c squared equals a squared plus b squared minus 2ab cos c. Now listen to me. To punch that into your calculator, you need, in one step, you need to hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 buttons in a row. And then you need to do what at the end? Square root it. So you need to hit like 18 buttons in a row. How many of you are thoroughly confident in your ability to hit 18 buttons in a row the first try? A few hands go up. Good. How many of you would feel more comfortable taking 1 second to write out a little bit of work? Hopefully more hands would go up. What is a squared? Pardon? 11 squared. What is b squared? 20 squared minus 2 times 11 times 20 times cos 20. 121 plus 400 minus 440 cos 20. 521 minus 440 cos 20. And now it's a lot less punching into the calculator at once. Then what are you going to do when you get that final answer? Square root. Go. Tell me what you get. I know. That's kind of where I'm going with this. I'll ask for some answers in a moment. So who has an answer for me? Yoon, what do you have? 10.4. Does that make sense? According to Yoon, this is 10.4. Is that a sensible answer? Well, if that's 20 and that's 11, and they're only 20 degrees apart, it can't be much bigger, can it? Is that a sensible answer? Yes. We're happy with that. Did everybody get it? How many people got it in one try? Sweet! Yay! If you didn't get it in one try, work bit by bit and write it down. If you write it down, you can't do it wrong. Maybe you don't know that 11 times 2 times 20 is 440. So do 2 times 11 times 20. Then write the 440. Okay? Now, it says I want AB, which we just got, and I want angle ABC. What am I going to use to find that guy? Of course I can use sine law, because what did I just get? My pair. So I have 10.4 over sine 20 has to equal what? 20 over sine B. And then I multiply. Now, guys, I want to ask you something. Let's pretend you're in pre-calc 11. Is this right? Shh. Is this right? Yeah, it's absolutely right for pre-calc 11. Let's pretend you work for NASA and you're trying to send a satellite into space. Is this right? No, what's wrong with it? We rounded right here, didn't we? What should this really be? Well, it should be whatever this works out to, right? It should be that full thing. So we would try to leave it on our calculator. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, if you show me this, am I perfectly happy? Absolutely, right? Because let's be honest, how many of us are going to be sending rockets to Mars? You don't know, do you? You could very well end up sending rockets to Mars. Do you think when I was in the 4th grade, I said, I'm going to sit in class and I'm going to teach math for the rest of my life? No, I didn't. Because in the 4th grade, I was going to be a rock star. I might have wanted to be a rocket. I don't really remember the 4th grade. It's a little hazy for me. I remember I liked my teacher, and I had a student teacher that was mean. And her name was Miss Battle. I know, right? Battle. That was her name. And she was mean. And she made me spell the word environmental in front of everybody because I was talking one day. I spelled it. Showed her. Yeah. environmental. Environmental. Showed her. Miss Battle. Love you, Miss Battle. No chance she's hearing this. I mean, she could be dead. I don't know. My grade 12 teacher did that to us. My grade 12 history teacher. He looked around the class one day. I've told somebody this story, and he said, you guys know that by your 20th grad reunion, statistics say 2 of you will be dead? And then you know what everybody did? Looked around. It was like, oh, it's not going to be me. By my 20th grad reunion, I didn't go to my actual grad reunion. I went to the grad reunion of the high school in Vancouver that I would have graduated from if I'd stayed in Vancouver. And guess what? 2 dead. 1 from cancer and 1 from a car crash. And 1 guy's a vegetable. Well, he got in a car crash and his car ended up in a creek and he was in a coma and he's like not right anymore. That's the word. People say that all the time. You're in a vegetative state. Oh yeah, Google it. Right, type it in. Vegetative state. And it'll come up. He's in a coma. What? Yes.
I see like in movies.
Yeah, no, it's a real thing. They usually do it every 10 years. But when you get older and everybody starts dying, they usually start doing it every 5 years. Right? Because people start going. Right? I didn't just have my 20th. My 20th would have been 2012. So this is the 25th. Oh, no. 2017 was the 25th. I don't think anybody did anything. What? Oh, old kids. Like people that were in the class. With Facebook now, though, there's not as big a need for it. Like, I'm on Facebook with, like, so many kids I graduated both high schools with. And just like when you go to your high school reunion, man, I hated that guy in 1990. You don't talk to him still now. When you go to the reunion, you end up talking to all the same people you talked to in high school. My 10-year high school reunion, I went to Powell River, where I should have graduated from. And it was exactly the same as high school. The same kids sat together. The same kids that thought they were super cool in high school still insisted on having the front table at the reunion. Fortunately, the people that organized the reunion were kind of nerdy people, and they were like, no, screw you. Go find your own table. We set this all up. We're sitting at the front table. And one of them actually said, don't you remember who we are? I was there. I was like 2 tables away, and I heard this female dog say this. And I was like, oh my God, it's 10 years after high school. Let it go. And the people that were at the organizing table, one of them was a doctor, right? One of them was super rich because he'd gone and been a banker. He had tons of money. And the girl that said, woman, because it's 10 years older, the woman that said, don't you remember who we are? Never left stupid ass little Powell River. And she's trying to tell the other ones that she's still better than them from 10 years ago. Made me angry. But I was in a wheelchair for my 10-year reunion because I just had knee surgery. So I rolled in a wheelchair and I was like, oh my God. It's like, no, it's okay. Knee surgery. Because everyone's like, oh my God, Matt's paralyzed. But I wasn't. Just knee surgery. No, I wasn't a vegetable. It's a true thing. Google it. All right. What? How do you define success? Money? Yeah. Then the guy that I graduated high school, would have graduated from in Vancouver, his name is Alain Mastai. He wrote the movie The F Word.
Oh, you were telling us.
Yeah. he sold his novel for $1.25 million. And he hadn't even finished it. He was talking about it with some people, and this woman ran up to him and said, I will buy that story from you for $1 million. It's a time travel book. But not really. It's the best time travel story ever. It's better than Back to the Future. It's better than... The movie's going to come out. You guys will see it. It's called All Our Wrong Todays. If you don't want to wait, go read it. It's so good. Anyway, if you go by money, I would say he's probably the most successful, but only because I know he sold one book for $1 million. I got another buddy who's very, very high up in Starbucks. Not, making the coffee, in the actual company. I got another buddy who went to London, and he works for, the biggest bank in the world. He's probably a bazillionaire, too. I don't know. No. They're just regular dudes. All right? I got a few doctor buddies. I got a few lawyer buddies. I mean, it just depends on what you define by success. Right? Okay, so we crisscross there. We do sine, which we already know. When does the bell go on this day? Okay, we got time. All right. Okay, guys, go on to 175. And what's weird about number 2? What have I done to you that makes it seem weird but isn't? I changed the letters, yeah? Easy peasy lemon squeezy, though. PQR. So, instead of ABC, I got to do PQR. And what do I know about that triangle?
All three sides.
I know all three sides. So RP is 7, RQ is 8, and PQ is 10. Now, is this the actual triangle, or did I just draw it to help myself out? I just drew it to help myself out. But it tells us a bunch of stuff, doesn't it?
Yes.
It tells us R has to be the biggest angle, the way I've drawn it. Even though it's not, just for use, it has to be. It tells us that Q has to be the littlest angle, doesn't it? Right? Now, it's telling me to find angle Q. Now, think about our cosine law. Our cosine law was set up with A, B, and C, yes? And since I have all three sides, we're going to be using the green version of it, right? Which was cos C equaled C squared minus A squared minus B squared over negative 2AB, correct? That found me cos of C. But I do not want cos of C. What do I want? Q. So can I take this knowledge and work over here? If I want Q, then this becomes big C, doesn't it? And this becomes what? Little c, and then do the other two matter? No. So I need cos of Q equals Q squared, which is what? What's Q squared? What? 49. Or 7 squared. 7 squared. Minus. Do A and B matter? Okay, so minus 10 squared minus 8 squared over what? Negative 2 times AB, 10 and 8. Now, what are you going to have to remember here? When we're doing the side, we had to remember to square root, right? What is this finding me? It's finding me, this just finds me cos. How do I find the angle at the end? I got to shift cos Q at the end. Try it on your calculator. See if you get it right. If you want to do it all in one step, I remind you, you got to use brackets, or it will not give you the right answer. And when you have an answer, please offer it. 44 degrees is indeed correct. You will notice that I am not showing you how to do it on your calculator because there is so much work, calculator work here, and everybody has different machines. I do not have the time to do that. You need to figure out how to make this show up on your calculator. Is everybody cool? Did anybody not get 44? Because there should only be, if there's anybody, there's only a couple of you, and it's easy to fix when it's only a couple of people. When it's trying to teach 30 people how to do it, it's really difficult. Okay, so Megan, 7 squared is what? 49 minus 100 minus 64 over negative 160. You can do that in your head, right? Then you can use your calculator just to do that. And that gets you negative 115 over negative 160. You don't have to care about the negatives. 2 negatives make a positive. So all you have to do is shift cos 115 divided by 160. Okay? You guys get so locked up in using your calculator that you refuse to write stuff down. Look at how easy it was if we wrote it out. Shift cos. Then you punched it in wrong. That's my point. Punch it in this way, Megan. Give Megan her calculator, Sukhpal. Doesn't matter if you can do it. Do this one. If you write it out, you can't do it wrong. Meanwhile, the rest of you, have a look at number 3. And please be careful, guys. I have had so many kids hand this question in to me on a test, telling me that the flight is 34,450 kilometers away. Everybody see the problem with that? It's WestJet Flight 344 is 50 kilometers away. If an airline was 34,000 kilometers away, it would be in space. You laugh, Jazz Carrot, every year. And one of you is going to do it when I give a question like this on your test. You're going to use 34,400. Okay? It is not. That's your number. That's a number. And that's the angle. The flight numbers are just there. Because in real life, flights on a computer screen are shown by their number. Did you get it yet? No, for calculators, yes, it's in rads. Good gravy. All right, so draw it. Oops. There's the tower, yes? Everyone agree? One of the jets is 50 kilometers east. How do we like to draw east? How do we like to draw east? Straight to the right. How far? How far did I go straight to the east? 50. And right there is where the WestJet flight is. I'm going to call him W. Does it matter where we draw the other flight? No. So if I go draw that flight up there, here is where J is. How far away is he? 25. What do we know about the angle between the two planes? 20 degrees. There's my triangle. Which one do I use? C squared or cos C? What am I trying to find? I'm trying to find a side. So is it C squared or cos C? C squared. Since this is the side I need, I'm going to call that C squared, right? Which makes this big C. And then I just solve it. C squared equals 25 squared plus 50 squared minus 2 times 25 times 50 times cos 20. And what do you got to remember to do at the end? Square root. If you're good with your calculator, you can do it all in one go because C is going to equal the square root of all of that. And when you practice a bit, you'll be able to do it all in one shot. Who has an answer for me? 27.9. Does anybody corroborate that? Agree. Yes? Okay. Everybody cool? All right, there's a typo in the next question. The ships are 17 kilometers away from each other, not 10. And there's a reason. When I typed this, I didn't proofread it. And if they're only 10 kilometers away from each other, it's an impossible triangle. And kids take 40 years to do this question because they refuse to believe they are doing the math right. They try to make their answer fit the situation without ever assuming there could be a typo. Which is kind of like what you do when the answer in the back of the book makes no sense and you knew you did your answer, your work right. And then you feel like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing, without ever thinking it could possibly be a mistake in the answer. If I asked you guys to do 7 plus 4, what's that equal? The answer is 11. If you went to the back of the book and it said 12, you would be like, I don't know how to add anymore. You would, Sarav. You're looking at me like, no, I wouldn't. Yes, you would. So what does this look like? The ships leave the harbor. That's where they start. Harbor. One goes 13 kilometers. How far does the other one go? 24 kilometers. There's ship B. How far apart are they? 17. I need to know the angle they left each other. Cos C. Where is the C? H. It matters because that sets up the A and the B, doesn't it? That makes the 17 C, and these two don't matter, correct? Cos C equals C squared minus A squared minus B squared over negative 2AB. And then you just fill it in. Is everybody Gouda? Nope. Because, Jazz Curate, if I do 100 minus 5 minus 10, it's 85, right? If I do 100 minus 10 minus 5, it's still 85. The only thing that matters is you have to start with the right one.
Would
Yo.
there ever be a time where one of those like angles would be negative?
One of those, a
So
dis...
yeah, so let's say we're like on that little T-graph thing,
Mhm.
and we're on the left side, so this bottom one here would be negative. Let's say we're
Okay, I understand what you're saying. So, guys, I'm just going to go off this page so I can draw out what Max is saying. I'll come back and ask you for answers in a second. So, Max, you're talking about a situation like this. If you were doing a direction question, and the ship went that way and that way, right? North, east, south, west. They're all going a distance, aren't they? So I only care about magnitude. You with me? So he went 13K because this is always a hypotenuse, isn't it? Right? So all those distances would be positive. Now you're asking, but in real life, you can't say, if I say this ship sunk, right? Ship sunk to the ground. You got to find him. This is your harbor. You can't say, well, just go out 13 kilometers. He's somewhere out there. That's what you're asking, right? In that case, what we do is we go back to, like what you're asking, we go back to here. We say, okay, if this is 13, and we know this heading he went off at, so we would know this, and we'd use all the angles. And we would end up saying this we might find out was 21 degrees in here. So we would say go 13 kilometers, west, 21 north. So start west, but adjust 21 degrees to the north. Or the 360 thing, which would be 270 and 21, 291, 13 kilometers at a heading of 291 degrees. Okay? But the distances would not ever be positive or negative. Cool?
Yep.
But again, that's you're getting into precise situations, right? If we were doing physics and we wanted displacement, then he's displaced -8 and +12 or whatever it is, right? If it was 13, it would be -12 and +5. That would be its displacement. Cool? Okay. Anyway, back to where we were. Who has an answer for me? 43? Anybody corroborate that? We're happy with 43 kilometers apart? Yeah? Okay. Oh, the angle. Yeah. Sorry, guys. That's a right triangle. It's 43 kilometers. No. Thank you. So you remembered to shift cos at the end. All right. This question is... son of a gun. Let's call that your homework for tonight, and tomorrow we'll work on some cosine questions. Just do that question. Try it. That's your homework. One question. Just one. How many questions? One.
If you announce it, the lunch west, Block A